Hello everyone, welcome to my garage. What we're going to do here is we're going to be building these things. I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've made 5 of them, burnt 1 of them already. What they are is essentially a wooden rocket stove kind of a thing. And this one's the clearest. You can see a combustion chamber, so to speak, right there. And then up at the top is an exhaust valve. And I did exhaust valve. Too many auto part stores. This one I did by hand with this thing right here. Now this is just your standard 1-inch auger bit that's got an eye drilled into the end, eyelet. I'm not sure what this circle thing is called, and I call it an eyelet. Just weld it onto the end, and then they ground it down or filed it down here in the middle so that it's round. It's just easy to put a stick through and start cranking, and that's kind of what I did in here. And then I enlarged it a little bit with this 1.25-inch bit. It worked really well. As you can see, it penetrated down far enough that I could connect this hole with the hole in the top there. Did a little burning just to make sure it works, and it seems to work great. The easiest way to test that is to take a torch. Come on, go forward tough. There we go. Easiest way to test that is take a torch and put it in the hole. If the torch blows back at itself, you know they don't connect. You can also feel the heat coming out of the top. But anyway, so what we're gonna do on this episode of doing things the dumb way is we're gonna build one of these. I'll just lay down there. The one I'm gonna build is this right here. Now this is about a 3-inch, 4-inch round piece of, I wanna say stock, but that's metal term, a chunk of wood, a log. This is a log, guys. I don't know if you've met one before. Anyway, it's gonna look like this, gonna go upside down like that, so I'm gonna have to cut it off here, remove some of this section just to make it sit flat. This is more likely what you would find out in the wild, so to speak. Dead standing, obviously you want dry wood for this. And me being like the next lazy guy, rather than drill it with this or with my eyelet, you see it is not going to get down to where I want to put the combustion chamber. And I'll tell you why I want that there in a minute. Like I said, going to use the drill. Now this is about the most powerful drill I could find, you know, home gamer type drill. It'll put out about 40 foot-pounds of torque, which ends up being just over 1.1 or 1.2 horsepower. And it will sling around and get you. You got to hold on to this thing really good, and you got to anchor your piece of wood really good. Now, like I said, I started out with this. This is the backpackable version, and you can create from here to here. You can create a decent one of these that'll run for, you know, 30 minutes or so once you get it good and lit. And you can boil some water on the top of that, and we'll do that later, but we're gonna use this one here. This one's pine. It's got a longer, about a 17-inch reach here. And by pine, because it burns really well, I just happen to have cherry on hand with this one right here. So I'm gonna go into super fast build mode. We're gonna build this up, and well, first I'm gonna explain why I want the combustion chamber here. You see it's got 2 knots. Wood around knots is denser, it burns slower. So I want to put the combustion chamber there so that it burns this section roughly the same rate as it burns that. That way I don't have it burning through on one of the sides here, putting unstable, tipping over and knocking your drink everywhere. So anyway, let's get going. And I'll show you in this super fast time lapse what we do to keep this thing from slinging around and giving us a nice bruise that a friend of mine got. Yeah, let's do this. All right, pause, super fast time lapse. I'm gonna switch this bit out and go with my 1.25 inch. This one I don't really like. It drills faster, but because of the narrowness, I wanna say shortness of the flutes here, this bit has a bigger tendency to go in and wobble on the angle and create somewhat not only of a crooked cut, but also on the exit, it can tilt to one side, and trying to pull this out when it's tilted, it's a backbreaker. But it does go really quickly, as you'll see. Well, everything's gonna go quickly for you, so resume super fast time lapse. Okay, pause, super fast time lapse. I gotta reposition my board because the screws are likely in the path of my bore. And I don't want to hit a metal screw with a steel bit and wreck the edge, so out they come. Position that so my log is straight up and down, roughly. So, pause. I'm stopping this thing so often. Now the force of the drill is turning clockwise, so everything's going to want to turn counterclockwise. So I've got a good stump over here and another one behind it to stop this 2x4 from moving around. Now I can turn this kind of with my hand, but I'm going with a 1" in the top, so I've got it level, I got it squared up. Getting this hole to connect with that one's going to be a challenge, but if we don't get it, it doesn't really matter because the one we're going to test on is dry good and has a straight cut anyway. So I'm pre-measuring how far on this bore I got to go down, or on this bit I got to go to hit that hole. Looks like I got to go just past this fluted area right here. If you can see that, I hope so, because this is as good as it gets. So fluted, and when I'm in, I probably want to go just a hair further, and then yeah, getting it straight and true is the challenge and name of the game. I'm gonna put my drill. I can see too much daylight in here, but it is a 2-bit. All right, a little better. All right, let's go. Got to switch out the bit. Let's get going, and see you in a bit. Alright, pause. You will feel it when you break through. Everything will change. So let's have a look. Up, I can see it. I can put my finger in it. Let's dump the chips out. As you saw, I went up and down with this. If you leave this in there, drilling with the bore flutes and everything, these grooves here full of chips, it will add to the friction and resistance, and you'll end up burning your drill out. It will come to a screeching halt. You'll just have a bad time. So go up, pull it out, let it pull those chips out with it, go down, pull it out. And the same thing is gonna apply to this guy. If you're going in past the flutes here, it's a good idea to back it out and pull those flutes out. It's gonna take a lot of effort though. This is cherry, it's a hard wood. It's a good hard wood. What the one I did back here is aspen. It's like paper, like compressed paper junk. And this has got a better feature on it in that it has the vertical cutter here, and that thing hits the fibers as the guide bit pulls it in, slices them vertically, and then this comes around the actual chisel bit portion, and it cuts them right off. Now this one I need to do some work because you can see the grind marks on here. Pretty embarrassing actually for the manufacturer, but I did a little sharpening on it, not too much, but yeah, this is awesome. This thing weighs, I don't know, not that much. You wouldn't even notice if you threw it in your pack. So I'm gonna take this out next time I go camping, and we're gonna build one of these. And yeah, without further ado, let's undo this screw and let's have a look at this guy. Like I said, like the next lazy guy, I use power tools when I am home. It just seems silly to do things by hand all the time. It's fun, though. All right, here's the test. See my hole there? Grab my flashlight, headlamp. Turn it on, of course. See that hole lights up? There we go. That's how you do it. That's it. That's really how you got to do it. Now you want to secure your base here so it sets up right, or put it in some rocks or whatever. But yeah, we did. We were just slightly off to this side, so my hole comes down on this side, but I barely missed it. But another way to tell is with the blowtorch here. Blowtorch, the propane cylinder thingy. Turn it on. I've been using this thing a lot because it's got the tar buildup on it. Upside down, they run faster. Hey, that actually whistles. How about that? I made a fire whistle. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you make a fire whistle. Of course, it don't last long because the fire burns it up, but there you go, smoke and everything. Ta-da! So that's it, done. Let's go out and put a fire to it and actually use it, shall we? I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do that. All right, one quick thing, what I'm going to do, this is a knife, we're not using it. It's not even done being reviewed yet. Piece of fat wood here. What you want to do is take, well, I guess I am using my knife. What the heck am I talking about? Take some fat wood or any type of ignition. I'm going to cheat and use some wax fire starters. Stick it in there. You want a really good sparker, otherwise use a lighter or torch, and then stick it up to it. Now, sometimes it helps to cut a lip around the top of here. That way you've got kind of a shelf to put things on. And then also cut a notch if there's not a natural crack or something you can put your fire still up against. And then you just pump it full of sparks. Fire starts, drags it up. Like I said, this has been out in the rain, so it might take a minute to get her going, but we're going out in the dark. Gonna bring my headlamp just so that you guys can see how I do things. Let's go do it. Let's go get her done, huh? All right, like I said, we're out here in the dark. It's been raining a lot. I don't know if you can see over here the moisture and whatnot, but this thing did get rained on several hours ago. These are those wax fire starters I was talking about. I'm just gonna have to trust it's in the frame, because if I turn, you're in pitch black. But anyway, so I'm gonna pull out my Schrade knife. I'm not gonna use the built-in fire still. The tip broke off. We've not even taken it camping yet. We've just been testing it. And it broke with not even hardly any use. But I like the case. These fire rods that come with these knives, all of them so far have been junk. So I think I'm going to cut this up a little bit and put some of it inside my combustion chamber here. Hopefully it burns long enough that it creates somewhat of a useful situation. I'll just stick one relatively in there. I'm going to have a look. Yeah, you don't want to block this off, because if air can't get through and up out the top here, you're screwing yourself. So one of them goes in. I'll put this under here, kind of prop it up. Right. All right, let's see if we can make a mess here. I'm gonna put one right here at the entrance. I'm also gonna break one up into smaller pieces and stick it in the top, because that can catch and help us out. And you always want to over prepare. A little bit of sapwood sticks, fatwood sticks I mean. You never know, they may come in handy. And I got a bunch of these now. So I've been out looking several times. It's difficult to find this stuff here in Utah. So I got a bunch of that now. Wearing some like motorcycle style gloves because it's cold. It's cold out. All right, let's do this. I will stick a couple of these in here because they generally accept a spark very well. Without further ado, let's get this thing lit and I'll show you kind of what it does. You probably already know. Ha, one. I thought I had it in one spark. Racism, I tell you. I hear one. It is burning. I hear it. Gonna put these in here. Okay, gloves are coming on. I like the gloves. Keeps my hands dexterity up, but it ain't doing much for getting things in here. Let's get some sticks in here. Not putting my own fire out. Have a look in there. I'm gonna deter the light here. Oh yeah, you can totally see it. See the smoke coming out of the top and everything. That's what you want to see. Let's pull you in a little closer. Yeah, you can see the smoke coming out of the top. We got fire underneath, so we are good to go, right? These fire starters seem to work well. They're soaked in something, but I'm a practical person. There's value in doing things like, what do you call, the bushcraft way, learning survival skills and whatnot. But on the other hand, we have a lot of modern technological advancements and things that we can put to our use to not just save our lives, but enhance our skill set. Taking a fat stick out with you, or some of these little fire starter things, you know, can you guys even see? To me, it makes sense, you know. Getting a lot of smoke coming out of there. We have a decent sized fire going through there, so the wood surrounding this will eventually catch and we'll have fire coming out of the top. In fact, sometimes, I can show you an old Indian trick here. Let me adjust this. It's not necessarily the fire that burns the material, it's the material that gets hot and the vapors burn. So sometimes you can ignite them with just a spark. There might be too much moisture in this right now. It's plenty hot. I mean, it's cooking in there. Oh, I had some flash there. You see, maybe you can see it. Fire trying to rise out of there, yeah. Please tell me you can see that. We'll get there. We're getting there. It's not particularly warm. And it's not a stealth fire by any means, but it's a fun one. The heat coming out of here could certainly boil a cup of water. And once this ignites up here, once we get a high enough fire, flame, whatever you want to call it, it will burn. Let me see if I can give you a look inside here. There you go. Kind of gets you a look in there. Pretty cool. Once that gets hot enough up in this chimney, it'll ignite and you'll have fire coming right out of the top. That's actually what you want. Watching the sparks drop down that tube and having it go up like it is, and see the flame is still being drawn in. Well, mostly. There we go. That's a good sign. We want that. We don't want the flame coming out on the outside of this. We want it all going up in that hole. Anyway, I think you guys get the idea. I'm going to get this going, and once we get some flame up in the top there, we'll come back and have a look. See you in a bit. I want to point out, once it gets to a certain point in there, that's just coals, it will start to burn this outside. And that's perfectly fine. Let me turn on my lantern here. Brightness down aperture. See that? That's got a crack in here. That's loaded with pine sap, so that's burning like a little candle right there, while the rest of that thing is just a red hot furnace. The top is not spewing flame quite yet, but we do get licks up there now and again. And it's not a bad idea. So there we go. It's not a bad idea to get like a little pocket bellows like this one and blow in it on occasion, just to spark it up, you know. But from this state on, it's pretty well self-sufficient. You can go about your duties, outside camp chores or whatever, knowing you got a little mosquito repellent right action going on right there. So there you go. That, my friends, is how you do it. It's hot enough up here that you can boil water. You don't want to put your hand on that for too long. It'll burn it right off. But anyway, there you go. That's how you do it. Now we got a little fire, self-sustaining rocket stove, and from this point, it'll take a couple hours to consume this whole log, and it'll break it down. These cracks will begin to gather up some these cracks right here. It will begin to gather up, you know, hot coals and whatnot. And if there's any in the interior, they'll start to expand, and it'll eventually break down, tip over. And so you don't want to just set this thing in the middle of nowhere, and you'll start a brush fire. But anyway, love you faces. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next adventure. Have a good one.